Rodney Van Pelt. Welcome, Doctor.
Good morning, Steve. It's great to be here with you.
Okay, so we've talked about the causes of diabetes, what to do or know that you have diabetes, or maybe some symptoms of what would make you suspicious, or some tests that you can do on yourself to determine whether you may have diabetes. So now let's talk about what do we do? Okay, we're insulin resistant, we're pre-diabetic, or we're diabetic. What do we do? So can we first talk about what should we avoid? What should we avoid, not eat, not do, if we know that we're in this situation?
Yeah, great question. Because we've talked together in previous videos about what diabetes is and basically what is causing it and how to diagnose it. And so here I am. If I want to prevent it, or if I am wanting to reverse it, right? It's already established, and I want to reverse it. What are we going to do now, right? This is just the most crucial thing to understand, and so we're starting with what things do we want to look out for? What do I want to stay away from? Okay, I want you to know, like, the cure is not all about avoiding something. Okay, that isn't the answer. Okay, but it is part of it, and we have to start there because our our grocery stores, our diets are just saturated, well, with carbohydrates packaged in different shapes and 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 processed foods. So we just got to talk about what do we need to avoid. So first of all, we want to avoid all sugars. Okay, does that mean we can't have any ever? No, it doesn't mean that. It means a lot less than I've been eating. Okay, sugar. I want to avoid sugar. I want to watch for it. It is in products all over the place. It is just crazy. You in places you just don't even think sugar would be there. You have to read labels. It goes by a lot of names, probably more than 100 different names for sugar and sweeteners. You know how things are listed on a product label by the proportion of it that's in the ingredient. Well, they divide up sugars they put like 3, 4, 5 different kinds of sugar in there so that it can be bumped down from the number one ingredient. Okay, if they put 5 of them, well, then there's littler bits of each of them, and then those things come later in the label instead
That's
of right.
tricky.
It is tricky. But so you want to watch for that. Watch for the many names of sugar. I mean, sometimes it's listed as cane sugar. Sometimes it's listed as corn sugar. And we want to especially watch out for corn sugar, actually, especially high fructose corn syrup. It has a bad name, in many circles, and that is a well-earned, well-deserved name. It really is bad. It is the worst. And all sugars are their worst. They have their worst effect on us, all sugars, including high fructose corn syrup, which is the worst of the sugars, when they're put into a liquid. So drinking them, soda is really common, right? A common way to ingest it. It goes so fast into the blood sugar and spikes our blood sugar so fast when we're drinking sugar. So whether it's in a soda or a juice, a fruit juice, or a milkshake, okay, just drinking these things, oh my goodness, it wants to hit our blood sugar hard and fast. That's the worst way to ingest it. Anyway, we want to avoid the sugars, especially high fructose corn syrup. We want to avoid grains. That's what flours are made out of, right? We talked about this at a previous video about how much flour we eat in America, right? This is in various forms. It's baked into things, all, just all over the place. It's just mixed in with our food. The processed foods, they're all processed foods where this flour goes. And anyway, so we're eating just tons of flour, which is made from grain, any source. Grains are, by definition, they are the seeds of grass, the seeds of grasses. Corn is the seeds of a grass, and wheat and oats and rice, and the list goes on. But they're high in carbohydrates, and they promote our problem. It doesn't mean we can't eat any of them, but we want to limit grains a lot, especially wheat. It's not that wheat is bad and has always been bad. It has been modified. Okay, this is some refer to it as Franken grain or Franken wheat because of the way it's been modified. This is not the wheat that our grandfathers and great grandfathers, our ancestors ate. It's very different, and it's a problem for us. So we want to avoid that. We want to avoid gluten. We want to avoid all processed foods. Now you think about, what is a processed food, Dr. Van Pelt? It's a processed food is about anything that comes in a bag, a can, a box, a jar. It's 80% of what lines grocery store shelves are carbohydrates in different forms, just packaged in a different way. And so we want to limit those. Let's see, we want to avoid factory-made food. We want to avoid dairy. Again, the idea isn't that milk and cheese are just inherently bad for us. It is factory production of these things that winds up making them bad for our body and bad for our diabetes and our weight and our health. Let's see, we want to avoid trans fats. We've talked about this in numerous previous videos because trans fats are related to a lot of things. They happen when we superheat oils. When we get oils really hot, it changes them to trans fats, and even good fats are changed to trans fats when we overheat them. And so it winds up like French fries. Sorry, they're trans fat. And it's just not, it's a problem for us. All vegetable oils are bad for us. That's like corn oil, soy oil, canola oil, sunflower oil. These are foods that don't have natural oil in them. You have to just do really weird chemical factory stuff to corn to turn it into oil. It's just not good for us, and it is harmful for our weight and our diabetes. And so we're going to get to what kind of oils we should use in just a little bit. I want to say this also: avoid diet drinks. Diet drinks of all kinds. The artificial sweeteners that are used in diet sodas and diet drinks are toxic themselves. They are not associated with weight loss. They are not associated with improvement in blood sugars. Like you would think, you'd kind of expect that. Well, if I drink a soda that doesn't have any sugar in it, it should, help my diabetes. It should help me lose weight. It should help my blood sugar, because I didn't take that big slug of 25 teaspoons of sugar in that, so it should help. It turns out they don't. They look for that. They expected to find it when they tested, but they don't find it. It's because the artificial sweeteners are toxic, and they're appetite stimulants for one thing. They make us hungry. How about that? These artificial sweeteners make us want to eat more.
Okay, so you've given us an idea of what not to do, what not to eat, what not to put in our body. So what should we do? What should we eat? Is there anything that we can actually put into action that we can do on the other side of this to help?
Yeah, thankfully there is. Yeah, of course. It's because it just can't be all about what I don't eat. For many Americans, if they were to change their diet in the ways that I just suggested, there'd be hardly anything left in their diet. If that was the only change they made, they'd hardly be left with anything to eat. And that, of course, isn't our goal, to have nothing to eat. Um, so we want to eat real food. Let's start there with some really basic principles. Let's eat real food. I mean, if I asked you the question, is a Cheeto a food? Right, right. Those
No, but
weird
it
little.
has cheese in it. It has cheese in it, right?
I, I doubt it, but I haven't really
It's
looked at
orange. It's
it.
orange.
Yes, it is orange and some other colors too. Um, but anyway, the point is we want real food, not something that's made to look like food, like yeah, a chicken nugget. We're not naming any brand names here. Let's just call it a chicken nugget. You know, like what part of the chicken is that? You know, what is that? Is that doesn't look like a thigh or a breast of a chicken. You know, like what part is it? Right? It is just weird stuff. All right, we want to eat real food. Number one. Two, we want to
Yeah,
eat.
let me just interject right there, Rodney. You can get 10 chicken nuggets for $1 at some of these fast food places. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I don't know what that is, but it's not food.
Yes, and I'm agreeing with you. And we don't want to eat not food. We want to eat real food. Okay. We want to eat high quality food. Okay. And so that's why we have to be thoughtful. So I think, well, okay, a chicken, that's real food. Okay. Well, then we can say, well, yes, fair enough. Chicken is real food. Is a chicken nugget a high quality food? And we've already submitted right up front here our opinion. No, it's not. It's made in a blender. And I don't know what goes in that blender, right? And what comes out of it. But we want high quality food with meat. That means that the animal, like here's what we hear about. There's a saying, right? You are what you eat. And I've said on other videos and heard others say too, an improvement on that statement is you are what your food eats. Okay, so I want food. If I'm going to eat a chicken or beef or fish for that matter, I want to eat an animal that's been eating good quality, what's normal for that animal to eat, right? They have to be eating high quality, normal food. Factory production of animals today is not feeding them normally. It's not keeping them normally. Cows are meant to graze. They're meant to eat on grass. That's their primary diet is grass. That's the normal thing for cows is, vegetation, mostly grass. But they're fed a ton of grain, and the grain is antibiotic laced. It's laced with insecticides and pesticides and fungicides to keep it from molding. And anyway, that's just kind of the way it has to be in commercial um, animal production, or beef and
The cows
chickens.
are being poisoned.
Pardon me.
The cows are being poisoned.
Yes, and then so am I if I eat them. Yep. And anyway, so this is it. This is a problem. We want to eat high quality food. This goes for all of the animals, like fish. Never eat farmed fish. Farmed fish are kept in terrible conditions. They are not fed normal food for fish to eat. You don't even want to know, but if you do want to know, look it up. I'm not even going to talk about it here. It's yucky to think about. But we want wild, wild fish. High quality fish is wild fish caught from clean water. Okay, that's what we're looking for. We want whole foods when we're choosing them. We don't want to be, our goal isn't to look for isolates from food and consider, well, that's came from a plant, so that's a food. We're really looking to get the whole food when we're looking for these things. And we want it to be fresh. We want our vegetables to be fresh. We didn't talk about that either. High quality vegetables. Organic certification helps with that. Something that's grown organically is a step in the right direction. Grow it yourself. If you want to know that food, is wholesome, right? If it's high quality, what you grow yourself, you can see that that is high quality. You don't spray it with insecticides and pesticides, and so it's going to be more. And then the certifications can help us. If you know a farmer, if you have a friend who grows, someone who lives in your town, and you know them, and you can buy vegetables there, like that's a great source to get high quality vegetables. I think I wanted to mention that because vegetables matter, right? We want lots of vegetables in our diet. I want half my plate to be vegetables, and it's going to be high quality, whole, and fresh. We want them to be fresh, preferably in season. And sometimes that's harder to do than others. Fresh frozen is probably our second best, choice. If you can take fresh vegetables or fruit that was flash frozen, that's a very respectable way of preserving nutrients and preserving the goodness of the food. Let's see, what else are we wanting to do? One other thing I wanted to mention is, of the things that we want to do, is exercise. We want to move. It's so important. It really helps our blood sugar if we move. So you want to find something you like doing. It turns out not to help very much. This is surprising to people. But if you're doing something you hate, if you go to the gym and just begrudge every minute of the 17 minutes you put in on that treadmill, it's not as good for your health as you'd think. It might even be bad for your health. Okay. Find a form of movement that you like doing. Okay. Whether that's cycling, swimming, hiking, backpacking, cross country skiing, snowshoeing, kayaking. Did I say cycling already? Do some, or just walking even. Get out and just walk, but find something you enjoy. I think enjoying it matters, and moving matters. It's just so good for us, especially right after a meal. To get up after the meal and take a 20-minute walk, it really helps moderate our blood sugars after eating.
Okay, so I own health clubs, right? So what if
I
you like lifting weights?
Come on, go for it. See, that's a different form. Resistance training is amazing. It builds muscle, and that muscle mass does great things for our blood sugars, and for us in other ways too. For our weight to actually build muscle is really good. So that's, the weight training part of it, or resistance training, really good for us. That also is movement. And then I described a number of aerobic ways, and I think that our bodies thrive when we do both.
Okay, so I have one more question about, things that we can do,
Mhm.
but also I want to clarify, we're not saying that eating beef is bad. We're saying, just like the vegetables or anything else, you want to get quality beef. If you're eating beef, it needs to be organic, grass fed, grass finished, just like anything else, the best that you can get. Otherwise, you're getting a bad profile in whatever you're eating. So I just wanted to, right? We're not saying beef is bad. We're just saying you just don't want to just go eating any beef.
Exactly. I referenced, large factory beef production, right?
Right.
Essentially feedlot production of beef. And that turns out to not be high quality for us, right? That's not the high quality. It's real, it's
About
real
money.
food,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
about
not,
money, not our health.
but it's not high quality. Yep. And so we want, for high quality, we want, just as you said, for, like grass fed, grass finished, free
Right.
range
Yeah.
would be ideal, where the cow is just happy. He's out in the field, walking around, looking at the blue sky and the trees. That's turns out it's good for me. It's good for a
Yeah.
cow too to have
And the way that the animal is processed matters too. Think how could it matter? Well, it does. So get into that. Something that people can go research more about how the animal is processed. Whether it's a turkey or a chicken or a cow. So here's one more thing that I'd like you to address about anything that we can do to reverse diabetes or things that we can do about it. Is there any supplements? I'm a big supplement guy. Any supplementation, vitamins, minerals that we could take other than food, supplements.
Mhm.
What do you think? Is there anything that maybe would help?
Yeah, good question. And there are. I want to say my opinion is lifestyle is the biggest impact you can make. Okay, that it is huge. You and I will also submit, like, you can out eat any amount of vitamins and minerals. Okay, if you're eating the wrong stuff, like you can overwhelm any amount of vitamins. So, and I believe the supplements are important, and I'm glad that we're going here next, because I absolutely want to talk about that as well. I'm going to just look here at my notes. So I wanted to talk, I see quickly here before I go on, and this is about oils. Okay. I talked about toxic kinds of oils, and I don't believe in this section that I mentioned the kinds of oils that we do want to eat. Okay. We want to, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, really good for us. We can have lots of that. Really, like, we do not need to be afraid of good quality oils. Okay. And so, good quality olive oil, which is extra virgin olive oil, it can be hard to find high quality olive oil. A lot of it is labeled. There's some controversy around it, but there's no question that high quality olive oil is good for us. It's good for diabetes. Um, and coconut oil is great for us. Again, I get organic coconut oil and use it fairly freely. Um, there are other kinds of oils that can be good for us. Like avocado oil. It's good for us. We don't be afraid of avocados. Some people are all like, "Oh my gosh, don't eat too much avocado. It's bad for you." It's not. Avocado oil is good. Avocados are good for you. Our cells so need oil. Our mitochondria need oil to make energy. Our brains need oil to think clearly and really to be happy, and our bodies need it overall for energy production, and to not rely entirely on sugar for our energy production, so that we can just reduce our weight, reduce insulin levels, and not have diabetes. On to the vitamins now. Let's see, we got things falling over here. All right, so I think a good multivitamin is a great place to start. Just a high quality multivitamin. You say, what does high quality mean? It doesn't mean, to me, it does not mean that it has to be uh, derived from plants, or it means vitamins that are real and that are absorbed well by our body. For instance, magnesium oxide. Okay, that's the cheapest form of magnesium you can get. Okay, we're just going to talk about just one of these things, magnesium oxide, but it's hardly absorbed at all. So if my vitamin is using the cheapest ingredients they can get, no matter that our body absorbs 5% of it, like magnesium oxide. Okay, that's kind of an average there, but you can see 95% of it is wasted. That just goes right out, passes right through me, and doesn't even get absorbed and do the work for me that I want it to do. But so that's a low quality vitamin. It's one that's just using the cheapest thing they can get. It just has the name on there, and so people will buy it. It's just marketing. So I want things that are high quality, meaning they're going to do me the good that I'm taking them for. Right. The reason I take it is to have some good from it, but I have to absorb it if it's going to be doing good. So that a good quality multivitamin. Fish oil, I would recommend taking fish oil at a minimum of 1,000 milligrams of salmon oil, wild Alaskan salmon oil 3 times. Okay, that's a small dose, but it's a place to start. Vitamin D3, 2,000 international units a day, good for diabetes. Chromium picolinate. Chromium picolinate is also just really helpful, 2 to 500 micrograms per day. Let's see, zinc, good for diabetes, 15 to 30 milligrams a day. And zinc also is good for other things that we've heard in the last year and a half or so. It's good for our immune system as well. Alpha lipoic acid, ALA, really good for diabetes, 150 to 300 milligrams a day. And last but not least, some will enjoy this, some will find it just really surprising, cinnamon. Cinnamon is really good for us, 50 to 100 milligrams. It helps stabilize blood sugars. And so those are the supplements I would recommend.
Okay, well, that gives us at least a good place to start on if we find out we have diabetes or we're pre-diabetic or insulin resistant. So thank you very much, Dr. Rodney, for the information. Thanks for being with us.
It's good to be here, and I wish good health to all of your viewers out there.